100%.
And don't forget that Belgium has got its own problems with terrorism. There was the bombing at the Belgium airport. That was in May of 2016. November of 2015, we learned that one of the people who masterminded the concert massacre in France had Belgian citizenship. There's the Molenbeek neighborhood in Brussels as well, which is said to be a hotbed of extremism. So the people here in Belgium get it. The question is just how far will NATO go in joining this coalition against ISIS? Rex Tillerson said on the Air Force One on the way over here, Shannon, that they are really more of an observer status right now, but he hopes that they will get more involved militarily in the fight against terrorism. Shannon?
Well, John, do we know if Russia will be on the agenda for discussions today as well?
It's certain to be, and certainly it's coming up in some of these bilateral meetings. The president's first meeting this morning was with Donald Tusk. He is the president of the European Union Council. They talked about a lot of things. Tusk came out of that meeting saying that they share common ground on a number of different issues, but they do appear to part ways in their perception of Russia and Vladimir Putin. Listen to what Tusk said after their bilateral meeting.
My feeling is that we agreed on many areas, first and foremost on counter-terrorism. But some issues remain open, like climate and trade. And I am not 100% sure that we can say today, we means Mr. President and myself, that we have a common position, common opinion about Russia.
Yeah, we can't say that we have a common opinion about Russia. I'm told that Tusk is not as optimistic in his assessment of Vladimir Putin's intentions and policies as President Trump appears to be. So it's a lot of common ground here at this NATO conference, but some stark differences as well. And those will probably be reflected in the private conversations coming up between all 28 leaders. Janet?
I expect some of them will be tense. All right, John Roberts, live for us in Brussels. Thank you.
Let's talk about the objective today right now for President Trump. Chris Steyerwalt here to analyze. How are you, sir? And good day to you.
Living the dream, Brother Bill.
Nice. What is Trump's mission today at NATO?
Well, in a very practical sense, his mission at NATO is to show that he can direct the activities of the organization. The American president always takes, if not the lead role, a lead role in directing this most important, most successful treaty organization in the peacetime history of the world. And he, I'm sure, wants to be able to say that he can fill that part too, despite his criticisms of the group in the past. And a good marker on that would be if coming out of this, they say, yes, it's time for NATO to become more engaged as it relates to ISIS, as it relates to Syria and Iraq.
Yeah, the NATO Secretary General pretty much said that in the op-ed that he penned over the past 24 hours. So, yeah, you're very right about that, Chris. Watch the response from these leaders today out of this meeting. Newt Gingrich wrote a piece, okay? Washington Post, here it is. Part of it, he concludes, foreign leaders and the American people alike can see in this trip the core of a new reality-based foreign policy. He's making the case that the media has missed the point of this entire trip, with the contrails running back through Saudi Arabia, suggesting you have to fight this as well, not just us. Your view on that and how a trip like this can change a commander-in-chief?
Well, I think the trip changes the commander-in-chief, but also the trip changes the context that he's operating in. Look, the concept of Donald Trump as devil, as a handmaiden to Vladimir Putin, all of the caricature of Trump in the European press, so the perception of him versus the reality of him. Because as you know, these people who are going to spend one-on-one time with Trump in these meetings, he'll be very charming with them. He'll say how much he likes them. He'll flatter them. They will walk out and they'll say, he's not as bad as we thought he was. Maybe this guy's okay. Yes, in terms of reshaping global politic and all of that stuff, great. Time will tell. What matters, I think, most on this trip is that these folks, these actual human beings, get to meet Donald Trump, and they get to find out that he's probably not as bad as they read about in the paper.
Well, those personal relationships are true at every level of life. Let's see how that goes. In the meantime, President Obama, the former president, is with Angela Merkel today in Berlin. Now, what's that trip about? And there is a suggestion that he's trolling the president while this trip in Europe continues. What do you think?
Little trolling going on here. I think Obama loved this stuff. They loved him. He was Europe's favorite American president. I at least maybe since Woodrow Wilson, I don't know, but he was very well liked by these leaders, and he and Merkel had a good rapport, despite a couple of blow-ups over the course of his 8 years. They had a very good rapport. I think that this is nostalgia, maybe a little bit on Merkel's part. Would give Obama the benefit of the doubt. He's not making a public spectacle of it. But yes, I'm sure there is a little bit of trolling going on here for his successor.
Big gathering at the Brandenburg Gate. You remember what happened there 9 years ago. We'll bring you pictures in a little bit here. Chris, thank you. Chris Stirewalt there in Washington. By the way, Merkel has an election in September, too. So, she's fighting along with her political life as we go. She will be there at NATO later today as well. Thank you, Chris. Talk to you real soon. 8 past now.
Well, a stunning turn of events only hours before the polls open in the Montana special election. Republican candidate Greg Gianforte charged with assaulting a reporter. He claims a reporter tried to push a phone in his face, leading to this incident caught on audio tape.
You were waiting to make your decision about healthcare until you saw the bill and it just came out. And what you thought
we'll talk to you about that later.
Yeah, but there's not going to be time. I'm just curious if you have
Okay,
the
speak
right
with
now.
Shane, please.
But you don't.
You guys, the last guy that came in here, you did the same thing. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. The last guy did the same thing. You were the Guardian?
Yes, and you just broke my glasses.
The last guy did the same damn thing.
You just body slammed me and broke my glasses.
Get the hell out of here.
If you'd like me to get the hell out of here, I'd also like to call the police. Can I get you guys' names?
Hey, you gotta leave.
He just body slammed me.
You gotta leave.
Live in Bozeman, Montana. Alicia, you were there. What can you tell us?
Hi, Shannon. Well, I can tell you that I was in the room with Fox News photographer Keith Raley and Fox News producer Faith Mangan. We were the people who you could hear Ben Jacobs ask, "Can I get your names?" We were standing there setting up to do an interview with Mr. Gianforte, and we had arrived early to set up. We were in a room adjacent to a volunteer barbecue for his campaign that was about to happen. And then he came in, we started talking, introduced himself. We started talking about just chit-chat about Bozeman in general. When Ben Jacobs from The Guardian came in with his recorder, placed his recorder right up to him about here, and started asking him questions about the CBO report on the Republican health care bill. And you heard what happened from there. I myself was standing about 2 feet from both Gianforte and Jacobs when this happened. There was a table in between us, but I did see the whole thing when Gianforte grabbed him by the neck, both hands, slid him to the side, body slammed him, and then got on top of him and started punching and then yelling at him. Jacobs eventually kind of scrambled to his knees, grabbed his glasses, and you heard him talk about his glasses being broken and that he wanted the police called. Now, I need to tell you that the Greg Gianforte campaign has released a statement saying that Jacobs aggressively shoved the recorder in Gianforte's face, and, quote, Greg then attempted to grab the phone that was pushed in his face. Jacobs grabbed Greg's wrist and spun away from Greg. Now, as a result from all of this, 3 of Montana's largest newspapers have rescinded their endorsements of Mr. Gianforte: the Helena Independent Record, the Missoulian, and the Billings Gazette. Now, Mr. Gianforte, we're told, is expected to appear in court sometime between now and June 7th. That's the most specific they can get. But the reason we are here, Shannon, in Montana is for the special election for the sole seat in the U.S. House of Representatives for the state of Montana, a seat that was vacated by Ryan Dinky when he was appointed to the Interior Secretary for President Trump. This is the election today, and polls close here at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. But Montanaans have been voting for about 4 weeks now through absentee voting and early voting, and they have done that, and the majority of them have already turned in their ballots. Shannon.
All right, Alicia Acuna, again a witness to those events last night. Thank you for your report.
12 minutes past the hour now. Chilling new details about the Manchester killer, where he traveled in the days and weeks before Monday's massacre, as authorities now link him to a global terror network. Have an update on that, what we're learning today, and then there is this.